everybody, welcome back. Again, my name is Christina Brown and I am the fitness supervisor at the Arlington Heights Park District. And today I have for you a core workout. So our core is from here to here. So we're going to work that whole area today. The only equipment you will need is a mat and a dumbbell if you have one, or again, something that's a little bit heavier that you can use for some resistance, but we won't be using that much. So if you don't have one, it's okay. This whole workout can be done without any equipment besides something to cushion yourself on the floor. For our workout today, we will be working for 30 seconds and then we'll have a 15-second recovery between exercises. So we're going to start off with 6 exercises in our first set, which are going to involve plank work. So we'll be down on the floor. I will show you modifications for all of these exercises, and we'll kind of go from there. I'm going to try to set my music up here, and then I'll get my timer going, and we will get started. I highly suggest doing a little bit of a warm-up on your own prior to starting this workout. So get yourself warmed up, get yourself some water, find your equipment, and we'll get started with the workout. Alrighty, so we're going to come on down to the floor for our first exercise, and it's going to be a hover. So we're going to come down onto our forearms with our elbows right underneath our shoulders. You can stay on your knees or you can come up onto your toes. We're just going to hold that hover for 30 seconds. So let's bring ourselves down. We have 10 seconds to get ourselves situated here. So get the elbows underneath the shoulders. Bring your forearms parallel to each other and start holding that hover. So if you are able to, you can lift your knees up off the mat, but keep your hips at the same level as your shoulders. Do not let the hips come up here. If that is happening to you, drop down to your knees and just hold the hover here on your knees. We got to gain our strength before we can bring those knees up off the floor. We have about 5 more seconds here. All right, so take a little rest here. You can sit back into a child's pose. 15 seconds. Our next exercise, we're going to add in some knee taps or some knee lifts. So come back into that hover. If you're on your knees, you're going to lift one knee at a time, alternating sides. If you're on your toes, you're going to drop one knee down at a time. Again, those hips are still at shoulder height, and your elbows are still right underneath your shoulders. Keep your eye gaze in between your hands so that your head, neck, and spine are in alignment. All right, take another little rest. Next exercise, we're going to come into that hover again, and we're going to reach our hands out to the sides, either on your knees or on your toes. So bring it on down, get yourself ready. All right, so you're going to reach one arm out to the side and bring it back in, and then switch to the other side. Reach it out and bring it in. You can come up onto your knees here or onto your toes as long as those hips stay down. So you're bracing your core. Just try to keep your hips level to the floor. Push the shoulders down away from your ears. All right, take a little rest here. Our next exercise, we're going to bring it up into a plank. So now we're going to be up on our hands, the top of a push-up position. Hands underneath the shoulders. And again, you can stay on your knees, or you can come up onto the toes. Hips are staying at shoulder height. Wrists are right underneath your shoulders. You're pulling your belly in as tight as you can. You're squeezing your butt. You're squeezing your legs. You're keeping everything really tight. Don't forget to breathe. All right, take your rest. We're going to come back up into that plank and we're going to add some leg raises. 2 more exercises in this first set. We're almost done with the planking. I know it's difficult, but it's so good for you. So you're gonna come up, either if you're on your knees, you're lifting one leg at a time. If you're on your toes, same thing. You don't have to lift that leg very high, just up to hip height. Keep driving those hands into the floor. Screw them down into the floor. Pull the belly button up into your spine. Don't forget to breathe. All right, one more exercise. We're going to come back up into that plank, and we're going to do alternating shoulder taps with our hands on your knees or on your toes. Put those hands underneath your shoulders. Here we go. So tapping opposite shoulders. I'll turn this way so you can see me from the front. Again, you can come up onto your toes. Tucking the hips under slightly. Keep breathing. All right, sit back into that child's pose. Whew. We're done with our first set. We're done with planks. So you can check that off the list. For our next set, we're going to turn over onto our backs and do some mat work, working those upper and lower abs together. So our first exercise is going to be just a regular crunch. So we'll lay down on the mat, feet are flat on the floor, your knees are bent, fingertips are at your temples, and we'll crunch up and down, just lifting those shoulder blades up off the mat. Let's get our timer started. All right, so we have 10 seconds to get ourselves situated. Pull your low back down into the mat by bracing those lower abs. Lay on down. Bring those elbows wide. I guess I should press play. All right. So now we have 10 seconds to get ourselves ready. A little bit of extra rest time never hurt anybody. All right. Here we go. Lifting and lowering those shoulder blades. Sliding your ribs towards your hip bones, getting them as close as you can. Exhale as you lift. Make sure you're not pulling out of your head. All right, take your rest. Our next exercise is a leg raise, double leg raise. So we're going to keep the knees bent, and we're going to lift the knees up over our hips. Arms are out to the sides, palms up. And we'll lift the legs up and lower them down. Lift and lower. You want to stop your knees right over your hips. So if you need to, go ahead and straighten your arms and stop those legs as they touch your palms. Keep the low back pulling down towards the mat as you lower the legs down, working the lower abs here. All right, we're going to put those two together for our next one. So upper and lower body are going to come up together. If it's too much for you to do both at the same time, do the upper body crunch and then the lower body leg lift, alternating back and forth. All right, here we go. So if we're doing both, it's going to look like this. Lift and lower. If you need to do one at a time, it's going to look like this. Crunch, leg lift. Crunch, and leg lift. Keep that low back down. That's the main focus here. Don't let your low back lift up off the mat. We want to protect our back. All right. Moving along, we're going to do a boat pose hold. So have a seat on your bottom. Grab behind your thighs. Lift the chest up, pull the belly in. And then lean back as you lift the legs. You can hold it here. I'll turn to the side. You can hold it here. You can straighten the legs. You can let go of your arms, either to the sides or in front. And you can straighten your legs here. So a lot of options. Just make sure you keep pulling that belly in and keep the chest lifted. And keep breathing. All right, give yourself a little hug here. Release that low back. We're going to go into our in and outs. So one of our positions will be that boat pose. We're going to lean back and then crunch it in, upper and lower body together. So put your hands behind you, fingers pointing towards your hips. You're going to lean back, crunch it in. Lean back, crunch it. You're still keeping the chest lifted, still pulling the belly in. Exhale as you lift. Exhale. Hang on to it. All right, last exercise in this set is a dead bug. So we're going to come on up, arms over our shoulders, knees over our hips. We're going to drop opposite arm and opposite leg and alternate side to side. Here we go. Drop and lift. Drop and lift. Stopping those knees right over your hips. Keeping the shins parallel to the floor. Focus on that lower belly. Keep the shoulder blades on the floor. All right, nice job. You are done with set number 2. Go ahead and grab some water and we'll get ourselves ready for set number 3, which is going to be some oblique work. We're going to start off with a side hover. You pick which side you want to start on. So we'll start off with our elbow underneath our shoulders. Bottom knee can be bent or it can be straight. And we're just going to hold our side hover. This is also where you may need a dumbbell if you want to use it. We'll stand up and do a couple of exercises standing during this set. Again, you don't need those dumbbells. You could use something else in your house that weighs a little bit more, or just your body weight is perfectly fine too. All right, let's get ourselves ready here. So 10 seconds here. Elbow right underneath your shoulder. And lift that bottom hip up. Keep those hips stacked. Here we go, holding for 30 seconds. You can stay here with that bottom knee down, or you can scissor your legs here. Or you can stack the legs. Whatever works for you. Just make sure that top hip doesn't fall backwards. Keep it stacked right above the lower hip. Halfway there. Keep that bottom hip lifted. Working that bottom oblique there. Breathing into it. Getting a little shaky. Alright, let's switch to the other side. So flip it over. Place your elbow underneath your shoulder, bottom knee bent or straight. You choose your poison here. Alright, here we go. Lift the hips up off the floor. Stack the shoulders. Drive that whole forearm into the floor, not just the elbow. And then imagine you're pulling that elbow towards your feet. It's going to give you a little more stability in your shoulder. Those hips lifted. You've got this. You're almost there. All right, nice. Now bring it on up, grabbing a dumbbell if you choose. We're going to do some wood chops. So we're going to start off to the outside of one knee, and we're going to lift up over the opposite shoulder. Here we go. Lift. So you're pivoting on that foot on the same side where that dumbbell is coming down. Keeping the arms straight, keeping the chest lifted. Put some power into it. So exhale as you lift. Keeping the hips facing forward. Also with this side. All right, Take a deep breath. Whew. And my neighbor is mowing his lawn, so I'm going to close the windows. All right, let's do the other side here. Out and up. These are the trials of teaching fitness classes from your home. This would not happen in the studio, but that's okay. We do what we can with what we have, and we make it work. So doing that other side now. All right, we're going to bring it back down to the floor for some bicycle crunches. All right, we've got this. All right, fingertips at your temples. Opposite shoulder to opposite knee, side to side. The lower you bring the legs, the more challenging it will be. Option is to tap the toes down if you feel that low back coming up off the mat. You're still keeping the low back down. Elbows are wide. All right, last exercise in this set. We're going to put our arms out to the sides with the palms up. Knees up over our hips. We're going to be dropping those knees side to side using the obliques. Here we go. Drop it down. Only drop so low as you can without your shoulders lifting up off the mat. Use those obliques to pull the legs back up through center. Keep that 90-degree bend in the knees as well. Almost there. All right, nice job. You are done with 3 rounds already. Go ahead and grab yourself a drink. We've got 1 round left. We're gonna work on our back a little bit here for this next one. So we'll start off laying on our bellies. We're going to keep our legs on the floor, toes on the floor. We'll lift our arms up above us, and we're going to lift up and down, just the upper body here. If it's too much with the arms overhead, bring the arms to your sides and lift up and down here. Okay? Alrighty. Get our timer going. All right, so 10 seconds to get ready here. Squeeze your bottom the whole time. Keep the toes on the floor. Here we go, lift and lower. Keep your eyes gazing down at the floor. Don't look at me on the video. You're just lifting those shoulders up, the chest up off the floor, and then down. It doesn't have to be a big lift, but you want to keep those eyes gazing down, otherwise you're going to hurt your neck. Remember, you can bring your arms to your sides as well. All right, take a quick little rest here. Now we're going to do the same thing with our lower body. We're going to lift the legs. So we're going to make a little pillow for our forehead. We're going to drop our forehead onto our hands, and we'll just lift the legs up and down. Here we go, lift and lower. Reaching those toes away from you, squeezing your bottom and your hamstrings. Exhale as you lift. Almost there. Keep squeezing. All right, take a little break here. We're now going to swim our arms. I'm going to back up a little bit. I've got long arms here. So we're going to bring those arms. We're going to keep the legs on the ground. We're going to bring the arms up and around. Up and around. If this is too much for you, okay, if that's too much for the back, if it's hurting, go back to just lifting. Okay, just lifting up and down. Or swim. Keep that gaze down on the floor. All right, take that quick child's pose. We're now going to swim our legs, so we're going to kick those feet. Okay, like we're kicking in the water. So again, make a little pillow for your forehead. Drop your head down on your hands and kick. Keep squeezing your bottom. Try to lift those kneecaps up off the floor if you can. Drive your hip bones down into your mat. You can go a little bit faster. Squeeze a little bit tighter. All right, we're going to bring it up onto all fours. And we're going to do a bird dog this time. So we're going to stick with one arm and one leg. So pick opposite arm, opposite leg. Hands underneath your shoulders. Knees underneath your hips. You're going to reach opposite arm and leg out and place them down. Same side. So stick with the same side here. Imagine one person is pulling your arm and somebody else is pulling your foot. So really lengthen as you reach. Again, you're keeping your eyes gazing down towards the mat. You have a straight line from your head, neck to your tailbone. All right, sit back into that child's pose. We are on our very last exercise. You're almost done. So we're going to do the same thing we just did, that bird dog, on the other side. So hands underneath your shoulders, knees under hips. Opposite side, reach. So you're lifting that leg just up to hip height, that arm up just to shoulder height. And again, somebody is pulling at each end. Pull, lengthen. Keep that belly braced. That will help you with your balance. All right, you are all done. Sit back into your child's pose. Drop your hips back down onto your heels and reach your hands out in front of you. Take a few deep breaths here. All right, roll yourself up. Continue to take a few more stretches here. You guys did awesome. We worked our core all around. We got the front, we got the sides, we got the back. It's very important to have a strong core, as that will help you, especially as we age. Having a strong core helps you with your balance. You're much more likely to catch yourself if you're about to fall, if your core is strong. And it keeps away a lot of our aches and pains. Low back pain is usually oftentimes caused by a weak core. So we can strengthen our core all around, we'll be in a much better place. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.